Okay, thank you for that piece of advice. And Ashley, do you have anything to add on this?
Nope, I think George said it very well. Thank you, George.
Mr. Chairman, we can't hear you.
I'm mute. We've got two other cases that we are going to continue tonight, and we might just have a minor discussion on that. But I would like to move things along, at least take some of the information, get it into the public record, so that we can move a project along. So what I'd like to do is Syed, just hold tight, and we're going to talk about the two other cases that I think are going to be continued tonight, and then we can get back to taking some of the information from you. Is that okay?
Sure thing.
Okay. Okay. The other case that we have is Wall Street Development. This is case number 0520, Wall Street Development, Dupuy Street, and this is a comprehensive permit, 40B, for construction of 12 duplex condominiums in 6 buildings. And I believe the applicant is here. Lou, how are you this evening? I see you there. And
Hey there. How's everybody?
Good. Now, you've given an application to the zoning board, and you received did you receive the letter from us saying that it's incomplete?
We received a letter saying that you were looking for additional information, yes.
Okay, so what we need from you is we need that additional information provided to the board by June 3rd, and then we can continue this hearing out until June 17th. And once we get that information, we can, look about moving forward. So you have a list of what needs to be provided, and we need to have that. So what we're going to do is we're going to continue that case out until June 17th.
Yeah. Well, my question is, Mr. Chairman, is that some of those items were in excess of what's required under the regulations. So I'm not quite sure all of that information is going to be provided.
Okay, well, what we gave you was a list of what needs to be provided from the zoning board's perspective and under, the 40B laws. So we need that, and we need it by June 3rd. And what we're going to do is we're going to continue this case until the 17th. So.
Okay.
George, do you have anything else to add on that?
I would go ahead and do that by motion with a roll call vote to continue the hearing, which will also be by conference by Zoom on the 17th.
Okay. Okay. Could I have a motion to continue?
Just a quick question,
sure,
Mr. Chairman, for George. So do we have to do anything to officially open the hearing so that we meet our 40B deadlines, or is this sort of, have we officially opened it by having opening discussions tonight?
You opened the hearing at the last meeting, so it's been opened.
Okay. Yeah, I agree with that. That's my answer was going to be the same.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sorry. I was mixing up the changes to the other 40B application. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for the clarification on that, Bob. Could I have a motion to continue case number 0520 until June 17th?
So moved.
Moved by Suzanne, second by Jane. Any further discussion on this? Okay, roll call vote.
Murphy, aye.
Bob?
Aye.
Drew?
Aye.
And Jane?
Aye.
And I'm also aye. Okay, so that's continued until the 17th. And Lou, you know what you need to provide to the zoning board by June 3rd. Okay. Okay, next case.
Mr. Chair, do you need me anymore? I'm happy to stay.
Yeah, why don't you just stay a couple more minutes? We've got the other 40B case, and I just want to make sure that I do things correctly with that. Okay. Okay, the next case, and this also will be a continuance, is for 55 SS LLC. This is case number 0320. This is the 40B on Summer Street in South Walpole. We're going to continue this one out also until June 17th. I know the applicant is here and some representatives. Do you have anything to add on this or any comments? Please unmute, David. Thank you. Lower left hand. There you go.
Yeah. Can you tell me what specifically you want to hear on the 17th?
So one of the things that it was traffic. That's one of the things that has been a concern. And that I think that's one of the big concerns. Also, obviously, impact on the neighborhood. And I think there was some issues about pedestrian traffic, pedestrian in the area, particularly up into South Walpole. So those are the things. But traffic, what we had said last time was we were going to start with traffic. And I see Ashley shaking her head. Is there anything else from your perspective or any other board members that you would like to see presented on the 17th?
I think we just move ahead with the plan that we set out pre-COVID, unless the applicant has something in particular in mind that they'd like to discuss. But I think traffic was our next hearing.
Yeah, I just wanted to confirm that.
Yeah, no problem. And we'll also coordinate to get our peer review on that at the next hearing as well.
Terrific.
And just so that folks know, we're still, trying to figure out how we're going to do public hearings once things start opening up. And right now we're discussing reserving the high school auditorium so that we can kind of spread chairs out as far as possible. But that's just one idea we're working through right now. There's no date that we've set on when we'll start doing public hearings in person. So I don't want to alarm anybody, but it's something the town's taking really seriously.
We appreciate that.
I have a question.
Go ahead, Suzanne.
Are we still going off that big binder that we got at the first hearing that even then they said was not updated?
So we have submitted new plans that are in response to comments from town department heads and from peer review. And you have those plans. I believe they're on your website.
Yeah, Amy's done an excellent job kind of curating the page for this 40B project because there's a ton of materials both from town staff and from the applicant. So we'll resend out the links so that it's fresh in everyone's emails, but it's really chronological. So it should be pretty clear to follow the steps, but we'll help you find that, Suzanne.
Thank you.
So perhaps at the beginning of the next meeting, before we talk about traffic, would you like us to just run through briefly what the changes have been? We can do that.
I would, since I don't know them.
That would be helpful, and we'll also, between now and then, we'll have time to take a look at the plans. Suzanne, you had talked about getting a hard copy of the plans.
Well, I had talked about the other case getting them, but I'm not comfortable looking at plans on my iPad for such a big project, personally. I mean, it's a pretty important project to the town, and looking on my iPad just. is not cutting it for me. And I did learn how to put it on my TV. I'm getting good in my old age, but it's still hard to refer. You know, if I don't know.
Susan, I've been working with the applicant on figuring out the best way to kind of, with everything that's going on, but certainly they've been amenable to providing whatever paper copies we need. Engineering, for example, has a set. Would 11 by 17 be okay for you?
Yeah,
Okay.
perfect.
So if
I just
anyone else,
to refer to, and if I only have my iPad, and if I'm asked a question, I can't.
yeah, it's tough. So if anyone else needs a hard copy, just let me know, and I'll work with the applicant, and we'll get you those.
Thank you.
Yes,
We would be happy to provide them.
Thank you.
Ashley, did you hear me?
So you'd like a copy as well, hard copy? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, if there's no other questions or comments or procedural issues, we'll do the same thing. We'll do a roll call vote. Could I have a motion to continue case number 0320 for 55 SS LLC until June 17th?
So moved.
Okay, moved by Suzanne, second by Jane. Any further discussion? Okay, roll call vote. All the, Suzanne,
Murphy, aye.
Jane,
Aye.
Bob,
Aye.
Drew,
Aye.
and I also am aye. So that will be continued until June 17th. And as we just said, if there's any neighbors or anybody in on this conference call, we'll be talking about traffic and the changes that have been on this project. Okay. Next one is Cider Creek Homes. Do we have anybody here from Cider Creek Homes?
Yes, Chairman, Kevin Porter here.
Okay, Mr. Porter, we've had a chance to review that, and I took a look at the plans, and you know, you changed things around. So it looks like everything's, you know, okay as far as what I saw, and now I'll just ask the other zoning board members if they had any concerns or anything with the plans that were recently submitted.
Was it okay?
Okay from Suzanne.
Okay. Okay, by Jane.
Yeah, no questions or comments on it.
Drew, any questions or comments on that?
Not at this time, no, thanks, John.
Okay. And I don't have the plans in front of me, but Amy, in the decision, would you reference the most updated plans, the date on that? I want to say, I'm not going to guess what it was without having it in front of me. But as we, you know, they changed the configuration in 36-inch opening, so standard conditions for an in-law suite where it's, you know, no separate utilities, has to be relatives of a certain degree, and finally it gets recorded. So, so standard conditions on that, reference the plan. Does anybody have anything else on this? Okay, Mr. Porter, do you want to add anything?
No, I appreciate your time, and thanks very much.
Okay, we're not done yet, but at this point, Mr. Porter, do you want to close the case?
Yes, please.
Okay, the applicant requests closing the case. Any board members, could I have a motion to close the case?
So moved.
Moved by Suzanne, second by Jane. Any further discussion? And this is just to close the case. Okay, all those in favor of closing the case, please say aye.
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 Opposed, abstained, so carried. Okay, now we have to vote on the case. Could I have a motion with the conditions that I already described, which are referencing the plan and the date of the plan, and also the standard conditions about the utilities and everything. I don't think there was anything specific that we needed to have on this case. Does anybody have anything that they want to add for that? Okay. Could I have a motion for that? For that?
So moved.
So moved by Suzanne, second by Jane. Okay. Any further discussion? Okay, this will not be a roll call vote. We can just vote it. All those in favor of approving case number 20-19, Cider Creek Homes LLC for 960 West Street, special permit for an in-law suite. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Okay, so carried. Okay, you're all set, Mr. Porter. Thank you. And this, I think, is the first one we've cleared off our docket since this whole COVID thing. So that's a good thing.
Sure, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for the board as well for all your help.
Okay. Have a good evening.
You as well.
Okay. Next one is Providence Highway. Phil, is that why you're here?
Where is it?
He escaped. Bill's not here anymore, I think.
Okay.
I think I'm out of that one, John. I think.
Yeah, no, I think you were out of that, Suzanne. And it turns out that from what Ashley and I discussed today is that it's all set. That it's not an issue right now. Do we have anybody to speak on case number 0420 for 103 Providence Highway? This is a special permit request for an electronic message center. Do we have somebody on that?
You do, yes. This is Brian from Sinorama. I'm representing.
What?
Okay.
John, could I ask a question?
Sure.
Where is this on Providence Highway?
It's directly across the street from the Walpole Mall. It's the old Accurate dealer.
Okay,
So Jane, are you off this one? I
Yeah.
believe.
yes, I am.
Okay, that's what I thought. All right.
Wait a minute. I don't think I'm off this one.
You're not off this one. This is
Right.
okay.
I saw Phil and I thought I was off.
Okay. So
I'm back on.
yeah, you're back on, and this is a different case than what Ashley and I had talked about today. So,
So the sign for the bowling alley building now.
right. So
Yes.
right, and this is Brian. If you do, you want to just again state your name for Amy so she can get it for the record, and tell us what's being proposed. And you know, I don't think it's going to be complicated. Probably it's not going to close tonight, but if you want to just explain what's being proposed.
Sure. This is Brian Clayman. I'm from Sinorama, and I'm representing Norwood Urgent Care. And they're basically a new urgent care that's opening throughout the whole building. What we're doing out front is putting a new pylon, and it will say Norwood Urgent Care at the very top. And we're proposing an electronic message board to make announcements.
And the size of this?
The electronic message board is roughly a little smaller than 4 by 6. So it's about 21 square feet, which is actually under the allowable for the highway district.
Okay. Is the whole sign 4 by 6, or is just the electronic part 4 by 6?
Just the electronic part is 4 by 6. And then at the very top, there'll be illuminated channel letters, which are also on the plans as 40 square feet for the electronic, for the LED channel letters up at the top.
And that's, I assume, both sides?
That's correct, yes. It's a two-sided sign, so you can see it coming north and south.
Okay. And illuminated from the interior, or do you have lights shining on this?
Interior, the channel letters are interior, and the electronic message board obviously is as well. And the purpose for this is to make it easy to recognize the location for any potential patients coming in. As everybody knows, everybody flies down Route 1 consistently, especially now that there's no traffic. And the owner just wanted to have a prominent sign out there to make it easy for any of the potential patients who are coming down, especially when it's an urgent care. And you all know that urgent cares are up and coming versus the emergency rooms in the hospitals. This is a Daktronics top of the line. It also includes ambient light controls. So the channel letters at the top will be set on a timer, and they'll go off after a certain time at night, back on when it gets dark. The message board will get brighter during the day because of the ambient controller, and then it will dim down at night as well, so it's not blinding or distracting to anybody like some of them I'm sure you've seen along Route 1. And they're planning on putting messages up there based on wait times, community messages, temperature, time, and so on.
Okay, and one final thing, well, I have one question. Suzanne, I'll get to you in a second. Would you or or the applicant be okay with allowing Walpole Emergency Services access to it for, say, emergency notifications? Have you done that before?
I can't speak for the owner, Paul Villara. He is supposedly getting on and logging on here shortly. He had an emergency situation at one of the urgent cares that took him away, and he was on his way home to be able to log in. So I really can't speak for him. I don't see where that would be an issue with emergency situations. The type of sign this is, it has a built library. However, with these new Dectronic boards, you can control it from anywhere by logging in. So if somebody got in touch with him or his administrator, they could easily make a change to it right from a cell phone or an iPad, iPhone. But he would need to make that decision on that. And I don't see him logged in yet. So he did just text me a few minutes ago when he left his urgent care. So I don't want to text him now while he's driving.
Sure. Okay, I think you've given us the information. We have the plans on file. I'm not comfortable asking you to close this hearing at this point. Suzanne, you've got a question or a comment? Go ahead, Suzanne.
Two questions. What are the hours of op? Are the lights going to get down at night, or there's a neighborhood right behind this building?
Yeah, the top channel letters that say Norwood Urgent Care will definitely be turned off. Okay. Those are going to be set on a timer. Those will be off. The display itself requires constant power, so that will be turned on. And it'll be very similar to the ones you see at Minuteman Trucks, Iorio Arena, as well as Applebee's. But again, these Dectronic boards have this ambient sensor in it. So as it gets darker, the sign also gets darker. There is one down near Dean Street in Norwood for, I think it's Monkey Sports, which does not contain one of these ambient sensors. It's blindingly bright when you drive by at night. It's unacceptable as far as I'm concerned. But these Dectronic boards, they take everything into consideration, and they're not GPS driven. They're strictly driven by the amount of ambient light that comes in during the daytime and the nighttime. So they're not distracting at all.
You just have neighbors, like you can throw a rock at them from that building right out back. So
yeah, I've been back there a few times, and they are very close. I will tell you that he has plans on beautifying everything around that area.
Good.
Out back is it's unfortunate the way it's been, how it was left. And is it you? I think you live back there. Is that it?
No, not me.
So one of the board members, I believe, lives in the area back there. But everything is they're putting up new fencing, landscaping, plants, shrubs.
Great.
He has big plans for the whole area.
Beautiful. And I didn't hear you, what are the hours of op?
I don't know the hours of operation, to be perfectly honest with you. I mean, we've been to some of his other urgent cares, and they're generally regular business hours. I'm not sure what time they're open till at night. We've done the hours of operation in a number of his other locations. And to be honest with you, eyesight and memory as I get old, and I just can't remember.
I'm with you. Okay, thank you.
Okay, and we're going to continue this out until the 17th. I would like to, but I think we've got the information. We've got the plans that we can take another look at. But I don't see, at least right now, unless some board members have some concerns, I definitely think that we need to look at the hours of operations and the light levels from the sign. But, you know, that can always be a condition, Suzanne, that the zoning board puts on, just saying, you know, the top part of the sign goes, you know, is dimmed at a certain point. But those are conditions that we can.
We did actually run two lines out there, two separate power lines out there. One for the channel letters at the top, so it can't be turned off, and then one for the electronic message board itself.
Thank you.
So is there something that I can tell the owner as far as why it's been continued?
Yeah, because we're gonna, we opened it tonight, and we're gonna take another final look at things after we heard from you, and but you can tell the owner that we don't, you know, right now, it doesn't look like we're saying we want you to come back with the revised plans or anything. But you know, we're not going to approve it tonight because we just opened the case tonight.
Okay.
Nate, can I just add something, Chair Lee?
Yes.
So because of the weird situation with public comment and not having a hearing room where people can actually show up, if anyone's watching at home, if you want to email your comments related to this project, you can send them to the CPA board secretary, Amy. I think the information's online. Reach out to us, and we'll get your comments to the board. I think this window that you're creating is a good time frame for people to submit their comments. We'll certainly update you if we hear from anyone.
Okay. I know he's anxious on this because he needs to get open to assist with all these COVID-19 cases. They've had a lot at all their different locations. I believe he's planning, the building inspector was down there today, and they're coming back for some finals tomorrow. And he's planning on opening I think it's the beginning of June, may even be June 1st. So to assist with everything that's going on. So I know he was anxious to get all this settled.
Yeah, I don't see how we can, you know, what we're telling you is that we don't see any major problems, but we just opened the case tonight, and we're not going to close it tonight. It's not fair to the neighbors. It's not fair to people in Walpole. But I'm also saying to you, Brian, and you can relay this to the applicant, Paul, you can relay it to him that we're not seeing, you know, problems with this, at least right now. But I'm, you know.
So Chairman Lee, just an idea, it might be possible for you to continue this to a date certain, and we can just have this as an agenda item before your June 17th meeting.
And what, have a separate meeting? What are you talking about?
Really?
Yeah, just do one meeting where you iron out, you know, whatever question. Just a suggestion I'm putting out there to see if we can help these folks get it in.
Today.
Just a question maybe for the applicant is whether the absence of the sign would prevent you from getting a certificate of occupancy and starting actual, you know, service of patients and things, or.
I don't know the exact rules and regulations, but I believe it's similar to other businesses that have to have the Board of Health, and they have to have different licenses to open. And I believe sign is one of the criterias. And I'm not comparing this to a salon, but a salon is the same thing. They have to have a sign up. That's part of the criteria to be able to open.
Okay. Well, you know, it's not going to happen tonight from the zoning board. We need to make sure that we have this, but you've heard what I've said. So
yeah, absolutely.
So do you want to continue this until the 17th? Brian?
Are you asking me? Are you asking me?
Yeah, you said you were speaking for the applicant. I mean, we can continue it either way, but
yeah, so, whatever you need to continue it, because and I'm not sure if this was included in the package, but they did issue the permit. The permit's being issued at risk pending approval from the zoning board.
Yeah,
He doesn't even have to wait an appeal period?
No.
We went through the whole process.
Suzanne, he has to, but he can do it at risk. That's,
Yeah,
and that's, that's fine.
the risk.
You can do it at risk. So, George, I know you're still with us, and thank you. Do you have anything to add on this, just to make sure that we don't make a mistake here?
No.
Okay. That being said, could I have a motion to continue this until the 17th?
So moved.
Okay, moved by Suzanne,
Second.
second by Drew. Okay, this is just to continue to the 17th. Anybody else, any thoughts on that? Okay, continuing, all those in favor of continuing case number 0420-103 Providence Highway LLC to June 17th, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Jane abstains. Right. Or Jane doesn't even abstain. Jane's not on this case. Okay. So and also that's going to be a four-member board because one of our board members resigned. And okay, so that's continued until the 17th. And Brian, you can let your the owner know that when we don't see problems with it, but we have to make sure we do it right and get the conditions exactly right.
Sure, okay.
Okay,
Thank you for your time.
thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, George, you're welcome to stick around as town council, but I think if you want to take off, that's fine. We're going to go back to the Main Street, 1363 Main Street.
Yep, I'll take off. Thanks very much, Mr. Chair. If anything comes up, feel free to give me a call. I can get back on.
Okay, thanks.
Bye.
Thanks a lot. All right, good night. Thank you.
Bye. Okay, so Syed, why don't you talk us through what you're looking at this point, and the changes that you've made. And did you say you could do the split screen with the plans, or?
Yeah, I could share like a PowerPoint presentation from my screen, just to give you an idea of the changes we've done. At least you get a visual with it.
So maybe you can. I know that the host has disabled participant screen sharing, at least for me as the chairman. So maybe you have some special powers there. But so we can take a look at what we'll talk through, or you can show what you have. But I think you do have some of your do you have your traffic people, or who do you have with you tonight?
I have my architect and my engineer.
Okay, so
Evan and Lucio.
okay, good. Okay, and
I did send the PowerPoint presentation to Amy. I'm not sure if you have it on file with you. I also sent the altered plans and updated site plan, and also a letter just dictating what we've changed. I'm going to present it either way, just for listeners, people tuning in right now. But if you want to look on, if you can't get the screen sharing, you might, I think you already have the file. I'm not sure that I'm going to be sharing with you guys today.
Yep, we do have the file. I know I was able to review the file, and I'm sure other board members could see it. It was sent out to us. So why don't you, if you can't share it on the screen, let's talk through some of the issues and let your architect address some of these issues, and your engineer, because I think we've got some questions, and we just want to make sure that really what we're doing is we're moving the project along for you.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, and not going to say we're going to close tonight, but I think that if we can move it along some tonight, that's beneficial for you and also for everybody in the town of Walpole.
Okay, I mean, my situation is, I have a contract to purchase the property. I don't own it, and time is running out, and I still have to go to the planning board and conservation commission. We have a conservation commission virtual meeting planned for next week, and we already have all our planning board items ready. The thing is, it's been open for almost 4 months. I just don't have. If I own the property, I understand the situation we're in, but just to be upfront with you, I don't I just don't have the luxury of time anymore at this point. It's a do or die at this point for me. What we did, well, let me just go through the plans and see if you guys are comfortable with it, and then we can talk from there.
Hold on, Suzanne's waving, she's got a question or comment. Go ahead, Suzanne.
Can you remember that we have nothing around us referring to this case? I have nothing but my pad. That's it. So I can't refer to things, so just beware of that. I don't know if everyone else is in the same boat, but that's my boat.
Right.
Please.
Yeah. Okay, so why don't you, Syed, and I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly.
Yeah, it's perfect.
Okay, and if you would just walk us through, I know it went from, I believe, 18 units down to 16 units. You know, let's talk about that. You've got underground parking. That was a concern. The bit about accessing out onto 1A. So let's, if you can, talk us through some of those issues that we had last time, and we'll see how we do as far as moving this along.
Yeah, so we left off on it was February 5th, I believe, is our last time we saw each other. The key item in question was really the density of the property, of the project. So what we did was we just went ahead and looked at some projects that were mentioned, recent projects that were mentioned at the board hearing, reviewed the zoning bylaw to see what we could do in regards to density, because that just seemed like, you know, the main issue that was brought up, along with some things from the town engineer's comments. We had a couple items from the fire department. So what we did was we reduced, as you said, we reduced the amount of units, reduced the amount of square footage. So we addressed any definition you want of that density, either square footage or units. We decreased both of them. And that helped us ease up some other issues we had that now are solved really from the town engineer's comments, the fire department's comments and concerns. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go through the slides and show you guys what we've changed, just so you have a visual of it. And then I'm going to have Kevin talk about the site plan, because we've moved all that along, and we developed all those plans just for the sake of time, because honestly, I don't have the time. The project might die with this. I didn't expect it to stay open for 4 or 5 months. But let me go through the slides, and then we can talk from there and see if we can answer any concerns you guys might have. So let me just. It says that the host has disabled the participant sharing.
Right, I said that at the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is never going to work.
I'd much rather meet in person. It's very difficult this way. But I think in these settings,
who's hosting? Sorry, I'm sorry to interrupt, but who's hosting? Is it Ashley or Amy?
So our IT director, Mike, is the host. We are dealing with, there's some Zoom bombing that we're dealing with. So screen share has been disabled, which is as of, I think, like yesterday. Or today. So I've got a text into him to see if I could be the host and share the PowerPoint that was sent earlier, but I'm not hearing back. So I'm not really sure the best solution.
John, I don't know if you're able to share your screen, or you're also disabled.
I have the same message, which is host disabled, participant screen sharing. I think everybody has that. So.
Okay.
so do you guys at least have the PowerPoint presentation on hand? I had put page numbers just in case this would happen.
Not me.
Okay, what we did was we received the PowerPoint presentation. I reviewed it, but I don't, I'm not pulling it up on my computer or another computer right now. So
All right, you just want me to describe what we've done? It's gonna be a little tough. I wish. I did it in 2 ways. I was hoping I could share it, and I sent it in as a PDF just in case as a backup.
All I've seen is a set of plans. Am I missing something?
Yeah, I mean, it's just gonna be the renderings, but the plans are their main concern. If you receive those, we can talk those over at least. Does that make sense?
Sure.
Okay, so.
And hold on, I just want to say one thing before we get going. You said that, you're running into time. Well, you still have issues with conservation. You still have to go to planning board. Nothing says we can't run concurrent on this. And what I'm telling you is that, we said earlier that we had concerns about the density. You've made some changes. Let's talk explain those changes tonight. And then we can also, we've seen the updated plans. I just don't have them in front of me. And I don't think any of the other board members have the plans in front of them. So, let's just, you've got some of your people here. Let's take some time, talk about, what you've done to change it, and see where we are after you have your chance to present tonight.
Okay.
Can I make a suggestion, Syed? Why don't you have Kevin, start with the changes of the site plan, which is the most important, and then if you want, I can chime in on the architectural changes as well.
Okay. That's my architect, Lucio.
Oh, thank you.
Okay.
I didn't know who it was.
Yeah. What I can do is, Kevin, do you want to just describe the site plan and how we, have done everything well below the restrictions for the zoning?
Yep.
Just introduce yourself, please, and take it from there.
Sure. Good evening, everyone. My name is Kevin Riopel. I'm with DGT Associates. I was at the last public hearing back in February to present the project here with Syed. As he had mentioned, at the beginning of this, we did look at the density. We reduced the number of units inside the building. We reduced the square footage inside the retail space. So the building got, a little bit smaller. We went from, I believe, 18 units down to 16. Yep. Is that correct? Okay.
Yes.
Yep, 18 to 16 units. And the overall square footage of the retail space, again, with the smaller second and third floors above the retail space on the first floor, shrunk down as well.
From what to what? From what to what?
It went, I'm trying to pull my plan up here on my computer.
See, it's hard.
It is, where are we? 8,870 right now.
And I'll interject that we were at 9,410 square feet originally, and that's for the commercial space. That's the by right use. The special permit requested is for the residential on the second and third floor. Those we reduced 2 units out of the second and third floor. So we reduced the density of square footage as far as the retail area goes, the by right use. And in essence, if you're looking at the building from Main Street, it became a lot more narrow. And
how much more narrow?
I believe it's about another 10 feet. Lucio, if you would just like to comment on that.
Roughly 10 feet. Oh, we got it.
Thank you, Mike, if you allowed that. Who put that on?
Thank you.
Yes.
You're welcome, folks.
Thank you, Mike. Why do we have all those telephone poles?
That exists, by the way.
There's only one.
There's more than one, but it's okay.
Maybe 2. There's not 6 or 8 or 10.
It's a perspective. You look down the street.
Okay.
Syed, you're muted.
Yep.
Sorry. Ashley, are you controlling the PowerPoint?
I sure am. So if you want to just give me page references, I can just
we'll just go right through it, and I'll just describe what we got. At least we have a visual now. So I'll just tell you next slide when we need to get going. So with this slide right here, we have the existing conditions. The existing conditions, the satellite view, what exists right now. Norfolk Street is the closest intersection we have going towards Walpole Center. Next slide, please. And this is just a close-up of the site, just to refresh our memory of what we got there. To the left is the floral shop, or what used to be the floral shop, and the Dunkin' Donuts. On the right-hand side is the car wash, and across the streets, the Bristol Cafe and the bank, that plaza that's there. Next slide, please. So this is the existing condition site plan. There's 2 buildings on the site. The building towards the front is where the pizza shop is. It has 2 apartments on top of it. The building in the back is the dealership, the auto dealership, and I believe there's a unit on top of that office as well. And then you can see that half the lot is just undeveloped in the back there.
It's a junkyard in the back. It's a junkyard.
Next slide, please. So right here, we're just going to start from the parking garage and start going up so I can describe it. So to the right of the screen, that's Main Street. You enter in on the bottom end of the screen. That's where the driveway goes into the parking garage. There used to be 34 parking spaces below. Now we have 32 parking spaces. That allowed us to cancel out 2 parking spaces at the bottom of the ramp, and that helped us address one of the concerns that the town engineer had for slope on that driveway. So the driveway leading into the garage, the slope has been decreased substantially. This is the next slide. This is pretty much the first floor. Back up just yeah. So this is the first floor commercial retail space. We have, again, 8,700 square feet here. It used to be about 9,500 square feet. You'll see the parking area to the top of the screen, and the site plan will show that in detail. But the parking area would be on the top end of the screen, and that would be above surface parking lot, just a paved parking lot with 18 parking spaces. So next slide, please. So this is, we're going to have a mirror image, the second and third floor, the exact same layout. We have 7 2-bedrooms. They're about 1,100 square feet each. 2 bathrooms, 2 bedrooms. The 1-bedrooms, we have one of those on each of those stories. So in total, between the second and third floor, we have 14 2-bedrooms and 2 1-bedrooms. So a total of 16 apartments. We used to have 18 apartments on the first proposal that we came before you with in February. Next slide, please. And then the next one. Yeah, that's just a mirror image of the third floor. And these are some perspectives of the elevations. You see the front elevation there, parking garage door on the left-hand side, the 2 storefronts right there. We've incorporated balconies into all the units. It's very modern in look and style. The side elevation on the bottom of the screen, that's if you're at the car wash where the vacuums are. If you're looking at the building from that angle, that's pretty much all you would see. That's where the parking spaces are for the commercial area. We have enough parking for commercial area to suffice for the zoning requirement. We have 18 parking spaces, and that's what we need for for the 8,700 square feet of commercial space. Next slide, please.
Oh my God.
So this is the rear elevation from behind the building. And on the bottom of the screen, I believe that's the side from, if you're at the Dunkin' Donuts parking lot, that's the side of the building that you see in that end. There's another 44 feet behind the building of setback, so we have a lot more space behind. Next slide, please. And these are just perspectives. This is if you're at the bank looking at the building. We already have 2 curb cuts there. We just took advantage of them. They were untamed. They were about 34, 35 feet wide. The zoning likes to be at 24, so we got that under control. Kevin will give us some more insight on the driveways in a moment. Next slide, please. And again, this is from across the street, if you're looking at it from the right side. And Suzanne, there we end up with the 2 poles, so it looks good right now, the electric poles. And you can see where the cars go in from. We were able to add a sidewalk leading from the back parking lot to the front. Just the way the zoning is, the zoning bylaws written, the zoning requirements for this, that they don't want any parking in the front in the zoning bylaw. And we're allowed a 25-foot maximum setback. And that's exactly where this building is. Other buildings on the street are set back way more than that. As a matter of fact, if we go back, and we can do this later on, but if we go back to the satellite image, you'll see that this property is probably the only property on the street that actually follows the zoning bylaw to the T. We haven't missed anything, and we don't have any variances or anything of that nature. But we'll go back to that in a moment, just so I can show you the difference of what we're doing and what actually exists, where we actually fall 100% into the zoning bylaw requirements. Next slide, please. And just another angle from the Dunkin' Donuts. Again, we have the 44-foot setback beyond that building going into the back of open space. Next slide, please. This is just aerial views. The car wash is on the right. To the far left, you have the Dunkin' Donuts, and behind is the floral shop, and they have greenhouses in the back. We're completely surrounded by the business zone. We do not abut any residential zones at all. So we don't require any buffering, even though we do have some, just because we haven't really taken advantage of the maximum allowed coverage for the lot coverage. So we're able to get some open space, even though, we didn't have to do that. But that's one of the benefits of reducing the size of the building. We're able to increase some open space. Next slide, please. Kevin, if you want, you can go through this slide. Ashley, if there's some way you can zoom in a little bit. And then if you want, I can just, while you're doing that, I can go through the zoning chart. Initially, the lot area required for the zone is 15,000 square feet. We have 32,488 square feet. So more than double what's required. The front setback, the maximum allowed is 25 feet. Again, we can't use any of that for parking. And you'll see all the lots on that street, even in recent site plans that have been approved, even in the blue building that we referenced last time we saw each other, even that building does not follow the zoning bylaw. It's set back way more than that. It's set back about 75 feet, triple the allowed zoning, and they use their front area for parking. You're allowed to have circulation according to zoning bylaw, like driveways and such, canopies like for gas stations, but for buildings are not allowed to be set back more than 25 feet.
Would you?
Yes, go ahead.
Would you just, what building are you referencing? The blue building?
Yeah, the one next to the gas station that got approved about 5 years ago. We had talked about that at the last meeting. It's, I believe it's...
The house next to Dunkies?
Yes. It has a commercial area in the first floor. It was probably the only thing in the area that fell under the same rules that I'm following, but when we researched that property, because it was mentioned in the last meeting, I went and looked up that file to see where I could, give in and try to adjust the plans. For some reason, that didn't go before the zoning board. That went before the planning board for a special permit for second and third floor residential. The zoning bylaw in 2014, 2015, as far as I read up on, is the same in that sense. They should have came to you, but they went to the planning board for that, and I don't think they got all the relief that's on the property that was needed. But I'm not against that project. It looks great. I'm for development. I love seeing the improvements. But I'm just trying to see what's the most recent projects in the area, and how they were approved and how they came out to be, and did they follow the zoning bylaw and all that? Because I follow it down to the T. That's why I did not have a variance in my first proposal, and I don't have a variance in this proposal either. I'm well below all the restrictions on lot coverage, we have the sufficient parking. I didn't see that in that other project that got approved, and frankly, like even in the decision, it did not give the relief that that we see on the property as it was developed. Namely, there's the parking in the front. That's a split zone property. It's, you know, when they put their site plan in, they calculated the residential back end of that square footage towards the calculations of the percentages. I was shocked when I saw that, but that's, you know, that's in the record at the town hall that I saw. With us, you know, we followed it down to every percent. We're right now we're allowed 40 feet high. We're at 35 feet. We're 5 feet below the height restriction. We're allowed 3 stories, and we took advantage of the 3 stories to make use of the property. The lot coverage is allowed up to 40%. We're at 34.9%. We've got 2,000 square feet less than the max that we're allowed. So we were in good condition with the 18 unit, but we really improved it with the reduction of these units. And honestly, our lot coverage by structure and impervious surface, basically the paved area in the building, we're allowed up to 70%. We're right now at 69.8. We're very close to that 70%, but that's mainly because, and you'll see in the next slide, we put a fire engine turnaround at the back of the property to accommodate the fire department. Because yeah, you might need to increase that one. Thank you.
All right.
Yeah, it's a different slide. Yeah, but in the back up one slide. That's for the drainage side. Yes. Kevin, I'm sorry, I'm stepping on your toes. I'll just explain this real quick, and if you want to add something. But what we did here was, by reducing the amount of units per your request, per your guidance, and frankly, the town engineer brought this up back in February as well with me, to try and ease up on some of the comments that he had regarding the initial proposal. When we reduced the amount of units, we ended up being very comfortable in these restrictions. We're well below the max on everything. We were able to get the paved parking, the paved fire engine turnaround at the back end of that parking, way up on the top of the screen. That's just an area to turn around the largest fire engine that the fire department has. Paul Barry had sent that over to our engineer, and we'll see in another slide how the fire engine can actually turn around there. We did send that over to Paul. We haven't heard back, but the initial proposal that we had with the 18 units, we did show that a fire engine could turn around in the back. I did send that over to Paul. He did respond by email to me and my engineer, and said that the fire department is of the opinion that they want all roadways to be paved. We were trying to stay under the impervious, the impervious lot coverage of 70%. Because we canceled out some parking spaces by the reduction of the units and the density of the commercial space as well, we were able to get them the paved hammerhead in the back where they can turn around. It's not going to be permeable pavers like we were proposing on the first site plan that we showed the zoning board, back on February 5th. So we were able to get that accomplished for the fire department. And another thing that was brought up in our initial meeting with the department head way back in January was they don't want fire engines backing out onto 1A, understandably, especially I believe that's a 45 or 47 foot ladder. So we didn't want that backing out onto 1A. It would cause accidents and disruption. Another thing was the dumpster truck. We did not want that backing up on 1A. Well, the good news with a 47-foot ladder, we can get almost anything to turn around at that hammerhead in the back. So we do have the dumpster all the way in the back. They can grab it. The dumpster truck can grab it and turn around on the lot, I believe, and Kevin can correct me if I'm wrong, and not have to back out onto the main road. I don't remember if it was Suzanne or Jane. Someone had mentioned the Amazon trucks.
That's me.
Yeah, there you go.
Where are they going?
So yeah, they can go to the back and they can turn around there. The back door of the building's from there. So it does offer that ability to have these vans or whatever turn around there. Everything's short of a tractor trailer, which no site on 1A has a place where a tractor trailer can turn around without driving over parking spaces that are dedicated to the use of the buildings that they belong to. What else could I add right here? So the other thing that I was explaining, I had a personal, wish with the original site plan. We didn't want to go over the impervious, 70% impervious coverage. We weren't able to get a sidewalk. There's nothing that requires a sidewalk from the back of the building to the front, but I felt it was crucial if all the parking for the front storefronts is actually in the back. So we were able to get, I believe it's a 4 or 5 foot wide sidewalk that you see right there in the dead center of the screen. So the cars would drive in, they can park on the right-hand side all the way down, which is exactly what actually exists right now with the use that's there. And then they can park also on the left-hand side. Then they can walk on that sidewalk and lead to the front storefront. So, and it also offers some protection. I'm sure this is going to come up during site plan review. Some protection for cars backing up. They would, there's a buffer between the building and the cars backing up into that driveway. So we did get, some things that I wanted from the original site plan. That's why I thought it's beneficial decreasing the density. We were able to satisfy the fire department's request, and they do have a paved turnaround. If we do not have it paved, our impervious surface will probably be down at around 64%, well below the 70%, but the back of the building there is mainly for the fire engine's ability to turn around. We do have 44-foot setback. The requirement's just 20, so we have over double the rear setback. The side setbacks on the right-hand side, the parking garage below, it's just 6 feet there, but as far as the structure goes on the top, I believe we're over 35 or 38 feet side setback from the car wash. What else do we have here? That's pretty much it. I mean, I can answer other questions if you guys have any questions. If you could just, Ashley, if you could just go to the next slide. This one pertains to drainage. If Kevin wants to just come in now and just talk a little bit about the drainage and where we stand with the Conservation Commission and what we've talked about with the Mass DOT. You can take it away, Kevin.
All right. Thanks, Syed. Again, my name is Kevin Riopel. I'm with DGT Associates, the civil engineer for the project. This sheet here, what we did after the first CBA hearing was we got in touch with DOT to see what their input would be, how it would affect the site plan. DOT's major concern with this project was they were okay with maintaining the two 24-foot wide driveways, curb cuts. Their one stipulation was that DOT requires a 30-foot radius on each side of the driveway curb cut. So it's a very wide, very inviting, very easy turn in, very, again, same thing when you're exiting the site from both of these driveways. In looking at the drainage design, the way the site is graded, we're really reducing the amount of runoff going out to the street. So they were very happy with that. A lot of positive feedback from DOT, which was nice. We will be filing with DOT. They require you to file once you have all your permits with the town. So once we get through all of these different boards and commissions, we'll be filing with DOT, but we've already had initial conversations with them. We did meet with the town engineer as well in progressing the site plan here with the change in the building, the change in all the site, new hammerhead turnaround there to satisfy fire department. We looked at drainage design as well. Again, controlling all the runoff on the site, collecting it, cleaning it, infiltrating a lot of the runoff on the site. Town engineer was very happy with the numbers, and I'm not going to bore you with drainage calculations here tonight, but we're making vast improvements over what's there today as far as stormwater management goes.
Kevin, on that, have you done perk tests on the site?
We have, yes. Yep. So we have good soil test data. I believe that was witnessed by the town. I don't know who it was with the town. This was, I believe, last fall on site. So we do have the on-site soil test data, which is what we based our designs on.
Yeah, Chris was there from the engineering. Chris showed up.
Okay. Another concern of the town engineers, I don't know, a couple of board members here tonight, were the slopes on the driveways. So if you're looking at the plan here, the driveway on the right going to the surface parking lot, we were able to reduce that to a 6% grade.
I don't care about that one.
So looking on the driveway to the left down to the garage, because there's a sidewalk in the right of way there.
Is that where, I couldn't tell when he was talking where the sidewalk was.
Yeah, so if you see.
Thank you, Ashley.
Down just a little bit.
Okay.
Down.
I don't
So
know
you see
whether-
where there's a 195 line going across. No, back down. Yep. So that big fat thick line is the property line. To the bottom of that is where the sidewalk is. And in that area, we can't be any more than 2% right there in order to maintain accessible compliance, ADA compliance, and all of that. So it's very, very flat at the actual sidewalk. At that 195 contour right there, that's, yep. There, it rolls up just a little bit. So really only the sidewalk is going to flow out to the street at that point. From there is a high point, and then it's going to start to roll down towards the garage. As Syed was saying, we were able to eliminate 2 parking spaces in the bottom. So from the 2% at the sidewalk, we slowly roll down to a 5% grade, and then ultimately 12%. And the majority of that ramp down into the garage is actually inside the garage. The garage door is almost on the face of the building. So again, the amount of paved surface and where the trench drain is. Yep, right there is where the garage door is positioned. So
what do we do about snow removal in front of that garage door?
So that's going to have to be plowed out. That's going to have to be, removed. I would assume it would have to be some sort of a small bobcat or, a skid steer or something like that to, pick the snow up and remove it physically. There is a trench drain to collect runoff before it enters, going down the ramp into the garage, that we have to do by the stormwater bylaws. So, again, it's a very small amount of pavement that's actually rolling down towards the garage door there.
Is there an arm? Is that how people are going to get in?
No, I believe it's actually a traditional garage door. All the residents, because it's resident parking only underneath the building in the parking garage, it's going to be a traditional roll-up garage door like you would have on your residential building. Everybody will get a fob. You'll be able to, as you're pulling into the site, you hit the button like you would in your driveway, and the door will open up very quickly for you. And likewise on the way out.
It's a roll. I'm sorry, switch again. It's a roll-up door. It's a coiling door, and it'll be a sensor, it'll be a fob that the residents can use. They swipe the fob, and the garage door will open.
And what's the backup if their fob doesn't work?
There are emergency controls within that door that they can use if it doesn't work.
And that driveway, that slope can't get icy.
No, as Karen said, the majority of the slope is inside the garage. So there's very minimum amount of pavement that it's in the front of the garage.
Where would they be stopping to swipe the fob?
Right.
The fob, there'd be a freestanding, usually it's a freestanding pole that with a little sensor that you can swipe and the garage door will open. And
I understand. I guess my question is, what's the proximity of the street and where they would be stopping their vehicle to swipe the fob?
Well, technically, you want the car to be off of that sidewalk. So basically, I would say probably 17 feet, 20 feet from the sidewalk. You would have a pole with a sensor so that the car will be towed into the property before you can open the garage door.
And what is your footage from the edge of the sidewalk to the door?
Right now, I can tell from the property line to the garage door is 25 feet.
So we're only talking 2 cars, tops.
Yeah, but the key, okay. If you're referring to the key entrances, yes, there'll be probably 2 cars they can be idling over there, but they're not going to be idling. Someone's going to be swiping, the garage door opens, the other car goes in. So there's not going to be a lot of cars waiting to get into the garage. And then there's also, there's a 60-foot ramp there that, there's plenty of, you know, if you want, when you get out, there's plenty of keying for 60 feet plus 25 feet in the front. Before you get access Main Street.
You proposed 2 retaining walls holding back that ramp. What's the height, maximum height from the top of the retaining wall down to the bottom of the ramp? I didn't see any handrails proposed on that.
Which one?
The ramp entering the building. There's 2 retaining walls.
3 feet. They're just about 3 feet at their maximum height.
Okay.
And then they roll up to nothing.
My other question was, are you going to propose any sort of restrictions as far as the businesses that are entitled to your first floor property? Just my question really stems from the idea of, you said tractor trailers can't enter the property, but if a food sort of distributing company or something of that nature where tractor trailers will bring items into the property, has there been any thought regarding that, I guess?
I'll take that question. Right now, there is no turnaround for a tractor trailer there, and you know, it's always going to be an issue when you're dealing with tractor trailers for all the sites on 1A, just because the lots are not big enough to allow a tractor trailer to turn around.
Some of them are. Donkeys goes right in. They have tractor trailer trucks that go right in.
Yeah, they back up in. They can back up on this property if they have to. We do have enough space right there alongside the building if they need to back up in there. The restaurant use and all that type of use are allowed on the first floor in this zone. I don't want to rule out that, you know, a tractor trailer may end up there. But I find it highly unlikely that that type of business would want to be at this location just because of the parking situation. And, you know, furthermore, you know, we're not going to have any kind of drive-through operation here like a Dunkies or anything like that, just because of the way the building's situated. I mean, we're kind of handicapping ourselves with the side setback. We can't have anything drive around as far as the drive-through is concerned. I don't see, you know, any entrepreneur thinking that it's going to be a great site for a restaurant with the parking situation the way it is. Those are things that, you know, I can't say that they're never going to happen because it's zoned for it. It's a by right use. I don't want to rule it out, but I find it highly unlikely. What I would target with this design, and I've always said this, the second and third story are residential. What we would target is, you know, working professionals, offices. That's what I would envision for this first floor, and that's an allowed use under the business zone. And it's more of a trend nowadays where people don't want to commute to work, so we're trying to, you know, get residents who would want to live in the units, work, and their first floor have their own office space, which I think, you know, it's a trend that's happening nowadays. People just don't want to drive 3-4 hours a day round trip to work in traffic. That's what I would be targeting as far as tenants for the first floor. You know, restaurants are allowed, but I find it highly unlikely with the parking situation that they would be successful here. And so offices and things of that nature really wouldn't need tractor trailers to drop off materials or anything like that.
Well, because they can't park on 1A. Tractor trailers are not going to be able to deliver off 1A.
Yeah, it's a tight road.
Yeah, it's a very busy road.
Yeah, I mean, well, things that I would like to just, you know, put out there. Traffic's always a concern. We have a by right use of commercial, offices, retail, restaurants for the 3 stories that were allowed here. I'm willingly here restricting my second and third story to the lowest impact of traffic by saying I want them residential. We can't argue that, you know, commercial produces a lot of traffic, as we know. Residential is nowhere near that traffic count at all. And again, I mean, with the way the zoning bylaw is written, its intent is to have business here. And we're allowed 3 stories of business space, offices and retail. So with my proposal here, and again, I'm handicapping myself in a lot of ways without having a drive-through ability here, which is a major traffic situation. I mean, that could produce 200-300 car counts a day just to drive through by itself. I know it requires a special permit, but that would be an option at the site. We're not going to have that option anymore when we build this building, just because we have a 6-foot side setback. We can't get a car on the other side. I don't see circulation happening. And the other thing is, if this were an office building, we wouldn't even need a special permit. And that's just the way the zoning bylaw is written. I'm here telling you, I want to restrict the property. And it's for my own, business decision. I like mixed use properties. I feel they're more marketable. They stand, the test of hard economic times like we see right now. We're able to carry them. That's why I'm going through all this trouble of getting a special permit for the second and third story. But if our concerns are traffic and granting the special permit, we're alleviating them, indefinitely. I really don't know when we would ever even try to convert anything here to office space. But we're allowed by right, second and third floor and first floor, all commercial, which would produce a big number, a lot of traffic, which I'm telling you, I don't want. I just don't want it. But if that's our concern here, the intent of the zoning bylaw is to allow 3 stories of commercial. So we're really limiting that traffic variable for the unseeable future.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
So, I've got a few questions because I want to get back to this. And one of the things, the town wants commercial and, residential, particularly in something like this. I'm not saying it's good, it's not bad, but this is the commercial zone for town, not the, it's one of the commercial zones for town. So you've said you want to put residential in there, and that's what we're dealing with. That's the plan that we have before us. But, I don't know, if we'd have as many questions if it was all commercial either. So, but that's neither here nor there because we got the plan before us. Couple of questions. And there's a billboard on the property. And I saw in the plan that is to remain. Why does that remain? Because that probably would be better if it could come out. So, what's your thoughts on that?
Did I unmute myself?
Yeah, you're fine.
Okay. So yeah, with the situation with the billboard, it's just unfortunate that the current landlord extended a long-term lease for it. So it's not really something that I can take down now. It's leased by Clear Channel. There's several businesses that I already have to deal with and long-term leases that I need to figure out how we're going to get out so we can build this building. But the billboard, I believe, still has about 10 years left on its lease, or 8 years, somewhere around there. I think it was from 2018, I believe, they signed a new lease. I'll have to look back at it. But that's really not within, my ability.
Okay, I understand. Not within your ability as of today, but that could be conditioned that when the current terms of that come to an end, that the billboard is removed.
I mean, are we ready to vote on it today? I could.
No, we're not. No, I'm just telling you some things that as I go. Okay, we're not voting on it today, and that's one thing that you need to look at. How we, because we're basically, you're coming in, you're cleaning up the place, and I appreciate that. I go by there often, and I think this, anything that replaces what's there now is an improvement. And you've said that before, and I recognize that. And so what I'm doing is I'm looking down the road saying, okay, what else can be done to improve that section of town? And one of them would be to remove the billboard. So think about that one if you would, please. The other thing is we still need the letter from the fire department about the turnaround. That was in my notes. The retaining walls, what's the height of these retaining walls? And I know we have the engineer with us tonight, if he can, comment on that.
So the retaining wall along the right-hand property line there, top of wall elevation is 198.5. And the bottom wall at the lowest point is 195-ish.
Okay.
It's just over 195, so it's just over 3 feet tall at its tallest point.
Okay. And you'll have fencing on that, or would, I can't see on the plan, what are you showing to protect that?
I would assume, well, there's a curb actually, so there will be the 90-degree parallel parking. There'd be a standard curb, and then there would be a small retaining wall just outboard of that. I would assume that we would need some sort of wall, not a wall, but a fence, just to protect, somebody pulling in the evening, darker hours. It's not going to throw the light on the other property. Probably, I would assume like a 4-foot fence on there.
Okay, so we need to, have that for, as we move forward. What are you gonna have for both lights and also from people, driving off a 3-foot drop right there in the parking lot? Sidewalk, I like the idea of the sidewalk stretching from the back of the commercial property up to the front, or back of the property up to the commercial access in the front. The width of that sidewalk is, you said 4 to 5 feet. Do you know?
It's 5 feet.
5 feet. Okay, thank you. That's a positive. Talking about the slope, 12% slope. So that's a 1/8 drop down into the garage. We have some underground parking in Walpole, but this is the only one where we have a slope going down. So you've already worked with the town engineer. I'm going to get some clarification. What is, safe from their perspective? But I think you've taken out some parking, so that's a good start there. And the 6% slope, that's manageable driving up. I don't think that's going to be a problem. But the 12% going down, that's pretty steep but I don't, compared to other underground parking that we have, or in-building parking where it's all level. So, okay, those were the comments I had. Any other board members have any thoughts or comments on?
I had a couple questions. I don't know, Amy, if you can scroll back towards the front of the presentation. The portion, I'm just trying to look at it on my phone. The part that shows the ground floor plan.
Sorry, I'm working through, my computer's being a little laggy.
No problem.
Okay, here's the.
All right, so this plan here shows an 11,174 square foot floor area, and an 1871 dedicated to residential use. But you mentioned that the retail space has been reduced to, I believe you said something around 8,700 square feet. And I think the difference between these two still reflects the old square footage of.
Yeah, that's. I apologize. That's on me. Okay. I will revise that.
And the under the bylaw in this district, the I believe it says the area used for dwelling units above the ground floor shall not exceed the gross floor area of 2 times the gross floor area of the ground floor. So could you just walk me through, it looks like based on the subsequent slides, that we have a little over 20,000 square feet of the 2 floors above, but we have about, well, I guess I'm just trying to do the math to make sure that we're in good shape.
If you look at again, that's just a graphic. That's me. I forgot to update that's PowerPoint. But the square footage of the second and third floor is actually a little bit less than twice of the ground floor. The ground floor is a little bit bigger. If you look at the ins and outs of the residential floor, if you see, I don't know if you see it, there's dotted lines. It's hard to tell, but the footprint of the residential is a little bit smaller than the ground floor.
Okay, I think Bob brings up a really good point. So let's have those numbers for the next time, the exact numbers.
May I interject, Mr. Chairman?
Sure, go ahead.
Yeah, just to answer Bob, when I'm saying 9,400 square feet, that's the leasable commercial space, and we dropped that down to 8,700 square feet. And that's the leasable commercial space. That doesn't include like the hallways and such. With the zoning bylaw, it allows for 2 times the ground level. So the building is a little wider on the first level, but pretty much it's just 2 stories right on top of that ground level. And we haven't gone above 2 times the ground floor. In the CBD district, I think the central business district, the language is different, and they talk about 2 times the commercial area. And in the business district, it talks about the ground floor, 2 times the ground floor area. So, because this has come up in discussion with the people in town, in the town hall when I've been talking about this. But for the business district, it's 2 times the ground floor area, not the commercial area. But as far as my numbers were concerned, we're just talking about the gross leasable area, just to give it some perspective.
But for the zoning purposes, the leasable area is the measurement is the gross floor area under the zoning bylaw, not the leasable area.
Yeah, it would be under the ground floor, basically the coverage.
Well, I guess just per the chairman's request, if you could just maybe walk us through the math on the next go round, so we can just confirm that we've got that. I was trying to do it based on what's on this presentation. I wasn't getting there.
Again, we do have that. If you look at the dotted lines, this is the outline of the second floor, which is less than the first floor. But I'll get you the correct numbers.
And it says here that you're dedicating a certain amount of space to residential use on the ground floor. Is that the lobby space? Is that what you're?
The lobby space and the vertical circulation. Yes, the elevator, the stairs, and the lobby area. Yeah, you can see it in the middle of that building.
It might be helpful if you could delineate that in different colors. So just
Okay.
show one color what is commercial, and then show us the residential area.
And then I just had one other question, Mr. Chairman. And this is more of a design question. If you, Ashley, wouldn't mind scrolling down a couple more, so you sort of see the perspectives from the next slide. I like how on these front and right side elevations, what essentially is the garage level is broken up with some windows and design features, but on these 2 sides, it just looks like a blank wall. I mean, we have a couple of.
Yeah, the reason why, to be honest, the reason why I didn't show any storefronts on that side, because it's very close to the property line. I mean, I couldn't introduce, I did think of that, to be honest with you, but again, it's very close to the property line, so I was trying to keep it away from the retail area, but I can introduce.
Well, I'm just thinking of just visually either some sort of vegetative buffer or something that breaks up that kind of what, at least on this, looks like it's just going to be like a cement wall.
It's not cement wall, by the way. It's just a rusticated wall, and I was thinking, like, I don't know if you're familiar with that, but 4 stones, things like that, to make sure that that's a retail, will have a base, create a base for the residential. But it'd be like a stone look on the bottom.
Could you provide us pictures of what is inspiring that material to help us visualize it?
Because if I'm not mistaken, the left elevation here is from essentially where the Dunkin' Donuts parking lot, looking that direction. I guess I'm not as concerned about the rear elevation per se, because it's not, really doesn't really present itself to the street. But in any way, but it just struck me that the left side of this could use a little breaking up, that kind of solid face there. And that's all I have, Mr. Chairman. Thanks.
Hey, Bob, thank you. Those are good points. Anything else from other board members?
I'm good for now.
I see we have some other people online with us. M. King, how are you, sir? Are you interested in this case?
Yes, I'm Fred King I'm from DGT Associates as well. I'm just kind of watching.
Okay.
Okay, we're the engineers. I'm just watching to see how it's going.
Okay.
And Kevin's handling the project.
Okay. Are there any neighbors to have any comments on this evening? Okay. And I think, Saeed, you already pointed out that this is, it's very much commercial over there. So I think, you know, we've identified some issues. I think you've moved it along. Let's take a look at, you know, something on that side, like Bob talked about, the left side elevation, what you can do for that, whether it's plantings or something to break that up somehow, that might be beneficial.
May I interject, Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sure.
I already have a landscape design done for it, because we already prepared everything for the planning board, because I'm tight on time. So I made sure that was already, and on that line, we have a bunch of shrubbery buffering the side that shows up from the Dunkin' Donuts side.
Okay, that's
great. Yeah, I thought those are just for site plan review. I didn't know you would need all that stuff.
Well, for a special permit, we're looking at everything. So, and one other thing, Ashley, could you go back to one of the aerial photos showing the main street? And this might be for anybody from the team. Right there, that's fine, right there. Bristol Square is right across the street with restaurants, dentists, many other shops. I look at a residential development like this and see that there is a crosswalk to the north down by Cumberland Farms. Very faded, I might add, but it is there, and I'm sure the town will improve that. What is your thought for a crosswalk in front of your building? And, you know, is it something that you would think makes sense? Because I think from a safety point, that might be something that we should be looking at this time.
Oh, yeah, sorry, I was having trouble with the mute button. I'm not sure, maybe Kevin can answer that, because that's the highway from Mass DOT, so I'm not sure what that process would be. If we can even get involved there.
Yeah, they would want, if we were going to propose something like that, it would have to comply with all the DOT standards. So if that's something we are going to explore, you know, we would certainly have to broach that with DOT and get their standards and what exactly would be required for that. We'd also have to look at where would make the most sense. With the two curb cuts already on our property, we're a little tight for space. That would coincide with an acceptable place on the opposite side of the roadway. So, you know, it is something we could certainly look at.
Other board members, is this a concern for other people, or?
Definitely. Yep. I think it's a great idea.
It is a good idea too.
Yeah. I just, you know, if you've got these apartment units there, people are going to be trying to cross the street. So I think that's something that you can look into and, you know, figure out what that would take, or what Mass DOT says about that.
Yep, we will. Thank you.
Okay, anything else from board members, or Ashley or Amy?
I'm all set.
Okay,
I'm good.
I'm all set. Thanks.
okay. Ashley, do you have anything to add on this? I know you've been looking at this.
No, I think I'm glad we got the screen share working. And I think we covered a lot of important topics tonight, and I think that the architect and team will ably address them in the next CBA meeting. And I'm available if
Okay. So what I'd like to do is, continue this out until the 17th. We've actually done a lot more on this than I had been planning to do tonight. And Syed, I hope this helps you move this along. I think that there's some good things. It's still there's a lot going on in this 3/4 of an acre. This is not a big parcel, and but you've also explained how you are complying with the zoning, and I appreciate that. I think you've got a pretty good understanding of the zoning bylaws, and if you move to Walpole, we'd love to have you on the zoning board. But let's, if we can, continue this out until the 17th, I think that would be, good for everybody, and we did move it along tonight quite a bit. Anybody, any thoughts? Yeah.
My main question is, again, I'm pressed on time. I don't mind working with the board as I have for months, and I've been working on this for over a year, so that's why I've memorized the zoning bylaws, and I'm very proud of what we've done so far. From what I've been hearing from you and members, there's a few items that we can address. I don't think they're tough items. I actually have most of them all set because we have them for site plan review. I'm not going to press you on it right now. I have them in my files, but I'll leave it for next time. But my main concern, just so I make the proper business decision at this point, if you know where I'm coming from, is our next meeting our last meeting if we address these? Would we be able to take the vote?
I'm never going to tell you when the last meeting is because I don't know what's going to come up. But I think what we did tonight was we moved this. You've got some of the concerns. It's a dense project, but you've also explained the density. I think you have some clarifications to do, but I'm also not going to have the zoning board, jump ahead. Well, I know you still have issues with conservation and the planning board. So I think you've addressed a lot of the issues, and I feel that we're moving in the right direction. But no, I'm not going to say the next meeting is the last meeting. I'd never say that, no matter what.
Yeah, just for my purposes, the building as it sits right now, is it something that we're going to work with the exception of the changes that we need? And the reason why I'm asking this question is because we've developed plans. None of the requests that you guys had today would alter our site plan package that we already have. We would clarify items for the zoning board, but I don't feel any of the items that you mentioned would alter any of the site plan package that we have. I'm trying to schedule everything just to save the project at this point. The general gist of the project makes sense. Right now, we're talking about density here.
Yeah, I agree. That's what it comes down to is, density and safety of a project. That's what that's what we're looking at as far as the special permit. And one other thing, seeing that we're continuing, affordable units. What's your thoughts on making 10% or more of these affordable units so that the town does not fall further behind with the addition of these 16 units on our affordable housing count?
Well, I mean, I didn't calculate that when I reduced it from 18 to 16. If it was at 18, it's a different conversation. The problem is the numbers are just so tight. And I'll reiterate that it's not a raw piece of land. there's, you know, a 30-year lease, I have a 10-year lease on the billboard, people are just not gonna leave. You know, there's finances involved in that, which, you know, it doesn't matter to the board, but just so you understand where my perspective is, I'm not trying to be, you know, not cooperate, but I will do anything that I can do if the numbers make sense. The last thing I would want to do is promise you something that I can't, you know, fulfill. At the end of the day, you know, one thing that's resonated with me since February, we're all on the same page here of doing something with the site, whatever it may be. We're all on the same page, and that's kind of the motivation in the back of my head all the time whenever I tell myself, let's just quit at this. It's very stressful playing with these numbers all day, but I know at the end of the day we're gonna have something we're all proud of. The input, you know, has been taken. The guidance has been taken, and I'm not just talking. You know, we've done action. You can see the changes that we've done. They're costly changes as far as the bottom line goes, but it's something I'll look into. I'll look into the billboard situation. You know, we'll see where we can help the town improve the site. You know, whatever I can do, I will do, but I can't promise anything. As far as affordable units go, that's something I really have to do a lot of studying on. But the billboard is something we may be able to discuss. Again, it's in a contract right now. I can't do anything about it, but maybe when that contract expires, we can, you know, put a proviso or something on the special permit. We'll take a look at, I have the landscape design, maybe I'll just upload that for you next time, you guys take a peek at that. The crosswalk is something that the DOT will really have to have a discussion with them about that. That's something that they would entertain. Obviously, it's not something, I mean, Kevin can correct me, I don't think they'll commit to that beforehand because they've already told us they don't commit to anything. They won't give us permits for anything unless we clear the town agencies, planning board, conservation, and so forth. But we'll try and get an idea from them if we can do that crosswalk. Other than that, I'm hearing that, you know, everybody's liking what we're doing so far, and that's the main concern that I have.
So, as far as liking it, it's a dense residential project on 3/4 of an acre. It's an improvement. So, you know, that's what you get going for this project. So that's where we're at. Okay, do we want to continue this out until the 17th of June?
Yes. Request for continuance.
Okay, so at the request of the applicant, could I have a motion to continue this until the 17th of June?
So moved.
Moved by Suzanne, second by Jane. Any further discussion? And this is just to continue it out until the 17th. Okay, all those in favor of continuing until the 17th, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Okay, so carries. That's unanimous vote. Okay, Ashley, did you get that? Good. And anything else for the zoning board tonight? We have some minutes, but I'd rather review those in person. There's no hurry on those. I don't think there's a hurry on the minutes. Unless, Ashley, is there a reason why we need to do the minutes?
I mean, I think that you generally, as a practice, want to get them approved at your next meeting. But, you know,
I haven't even read them.
The fee schedule I sent out that I was hoping you guys would approve. But we can
okay.
kick it down the road a bit.
Okay. Let's.
Can we take the site off now?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Hi.
Hello.
Okay. So let's talk about the fee schedule. Ashley sent out an updated fee schedule. I think in the past the fees were pretty low.
But she's lowering some of them. I saw some were lowered, if I'm correct. I gotta try to find it now.
That is correct.
I don't want anything lowered.
That's, you know, what this discussion is for. What Amy and I have worked out is looking at kind of what applications take up most of staff's time, and where it's getting lowered are the in-law units who aren't doing anything to the exterior of their buildings. So there's no footprint change, there's no, nothing like that. Those are probably the most straightforward applications to review. So
We don't need to lower anything.
again, that's for the board to
The town
discuss.
needs
We're
to
just
cap.
putting a draft before you for that discussion. So we put something together that we thought more accurately reflects what takes staff's time. So the rest of the special permits, there's an increase from $200 to $300. And then there's kind of gradual fee for multifamily housing and commercial based on the size of your project. And those represent pretty substantial increases from what it is today.
Yeah, I think that it makes sense to increase the fees because they cost us more. But I also agree with Suzanne. Why, if somebody's doing a in-law that's going to be, many, thousands of dollars.
All inspectors have to go, all the inspectors, I mean,
Yeah.
it's not just Amy's.
Those are, they'll still have their building permit fees, which is a separate thing. If you want to keep it the same, that's totally fine. This isn't me imposing this on anybody. We just put it out there for a discussion. So if the board would rather, keep it at the $200, then by all means, that's for you to decide. When we were looking at it, okay, we're talking about single family homeowners, people who live in the town, and we're looking at projects that are not very complicated. So that was kind of what our thinking was. But again, it's this board's fees, so that's, your call, and we will carry out and support whatever you want to do there.
I agree. I don't think we should make a move to lower them. I mean, that's just.
So, Ashley, if you would, write it up without lowering any of them. I do think one of them goes up to $1,200, and that's for, huge projects, and I think that makes sense. Those projects take a lot of resources, and it should go up. $1,200 is very, very reasonable for that. And I assume is this in line with other communities around us?
Yeah, so we looked at what other folks are doing. We're taking a little bit of a different approach by kind of parsing out from commercial to residential, but I think that makes the most sense. Right now we're charging the same fee for a 40,000 square foot commercial building as we are an in-law unit.
And that doesn't make sense.
That does not make sense,
Right.
no.
And is the cost that's shown, is that per special permit or just like, let's say they need 3 different forms of relief, do they pay 3 times what's shown in the proposed column, or is it just a flat fee regardless of how many?
So what we're proposing is to just go to a flat fee. Amy pulled up the data, and we can certainly send this out to you as well. Most folks don't ever hit the $600 maximum. They're between $200 and $400, depending on the number of special permits. But we're suggesting to go to a $300 flat fee for those special permits. And when I'm talking about 1 and 2 family homes for that, when you get into 3 or more units, there's a fee based on the number of market rate housing units, or a fee based on the square footage of the building. And it makes it easier to, so we have Viewpoint, which is our online permitting software. And basically, I can build into the program if-then statements that will then generate what the fee is. And breaking it up this way makes it a little bit easier to do that.
Okay, so let's.
Is Amy in bed?
No, it doesn't matter. No, no.
What do you mean?
And
I thought it was behind you.
I'm in a Cabela's rocking chair.
Nice.
she's comfortable, fine.
We need to toss the plot a bit here.
Okay, so, Ashley, you've given us an explanation of, how you've done these things. I think you've heard from Jane and Suzanne. Bob, what's your thoughts on lowering fees, or what do you think?
I mean, I don't have a strong feeling, so I'm happy to go the way of the board on it. I appreciate the effort that went into making this. I'm sure that wasn't a straightforward task, and you probably put a lot of thought into, you know, how to make the fee as equitable as possible vis-a-vis how much time you think staff will take. But so I appreciate the effort that went into it. But yeah, I'm happy to adjust the proposed column to reflect what's, you know, in the current column, provided that it's, you know, no lower than what's there, I guess.
Hey, Drew, what's your thoughts on that?
Great.
I guess my only thought was, in some cases, an in-law suite might be used for elderly or disabled people, and certainly putting any more sort of economic strain on them would be difficult. But I agree with the board in the sense that, you know, we don't want to be reducing any amounts of funds that we could be receiving to help, you know, offset some of our assets being used. So I guess I'd agree with Bob saying that I feel as though I would vote in favor of however the majority of the board votes.
We don't need a vote. I could just, I'll take the feedback and I can easily make those changes and get them out to you. We just take a shot, you know, we can't be inside your heads. We do our best to try and get it, but.
No, you did great. Yeah.
No, and it's time that they were updated. I think that's, so I think everybody's glad to have them updated. We're having the discussion, and you know, what you heard from some of the board members is, you know, don't reduce anything, but have them come in line with the size of the project, the amount of work that it takes for, you know, staff, and you know, I thought it looked good, but let's just change it so that nothing's reduced. If you, and you know, and then we move forward with that. So
great. So can we put this on the June 17th agenda?
Sure.
Okay.
And we'll have it, that'll be the, you know, finalized with that. And
great.
You can send it to me beforehand and we can work out any little details and go like that. So.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Yes, I have people running in the background. Yeah, so. Okay. Anything else? That's not my dog.
That's not mine either. That's Jane's. Jane.
So, anything else for the board? And I'm going to just shoot everybody an email tonight later, thanking them for, we got quite a bit accomplished, particularly on the Main Street project. And it's a lot more than I thought I walked in planning to do tonight. So
I think it would be good, just as like going forward matter, if folks, I don't know if we can arrange to have the share screen thing activated or something, because it's really going to be challenging if we can't let the applicant walk us through the plans or.
Absolutely. So, yeah, I think a couple days ago there was a Zoom bombing in one of the Council on Aging meetings, and so IT kind of shut it down, and so we're trying to figure out the best way to do it. It's tough. Like, it feels like every day is just a different thing you're trying to balance, right? Like public participation and not holding up projects. It's this constant thing. But I'll certainly get with IT before the next hearing and make sure that we can have that feature on.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ashley. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you all.
Okay. If there's nothing else, unless somebody has something.
So moved.
Motion to adjourn, and it's just before 9 o'clock. So this is this was a long online meeting. So thank you, everybody. Motion to adjourn made by Suzanne, second by
Jane.
Jane. Thank you, Jane. All those in favor of adjourning, say aye.
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 Opposed, abstained, so carried. Okay.
Hey, good night,
everyone.
Yeah, thank you, everybody that was involved. And Ashley, thank you for getting Mike or whoever enabled that. That made all the difference. That,
yeah.